Modi is accompanied by French President Francois Hollande as they travel in the metro for the laying of the foundation stone of the interim Secretariat of the International Solar Alliance that will be established at the National Institute of Solar Energy campus. This particular area is on the Gurgaon Faridabad road. The Prime Minister Narendra Modi along with French President Francois Hollande, they are travelling by the metro. This is the second time that the Prime Minister has taken the metro. Previously he had travelled by the metro for the inauguration of the Faridabad line using the metro. Well, at this point of time he is travelling to Gurgaon using the metro along with the French President Francois Hollande. He is going there for laying the foundation stone of the interim secretariat at the International Solar Alliance that will be established on the National Institute of Solar Energy campus that is on the Gurgaon Faridabad road. But there have been few diversions that were made as expecting this particular visit from the Prime Minister and the French President to the Gurgaon city in Haryana. But then the Prime Minister there once again trying to decongest the roads by taking the metro along with the French President travelling using the metro so that people are not affected and they are able to attend the function on time. These are visuals. They are coming from the Prime Minister using the metro along with the French President travelling to Gurgaon for inaugurating laying the foundation stone of the International Solar Alliance interim secretariat that will be established at the National Institute of Solar Energy campus. This is on the Gurgaon Faridabad road. There were few instructions that were issued in the morning that said that those particular roads there were closed as they were expecting a lot of VVIP movement there, but then the Prime Minister using the metro and the traffic there not getting affected due to that particular move by the Prime Minister. Here the Prime Minister briefing the French President about and you can see a lot of people there travelling in the same bogie as the Prime Minister and the French President to Gurgaon. Well, at this point of time, we've got our correspondent who's covering that event, Amrit Pal, joining us on the phone line. Amrit, the Prime Minister taking the metro would be a big relief because there were a lot of traffic restrictions that were put on that road. This particular move by the Prime Minister surely trying to help the people so that they're not affected with the daily routine.
Well, yes, that is one part of it, but I think more significant, Anil, would be the Prime Minister signifying that, by taking the metro, that this is a symbolism of saying that how one can deal with climate change, because he's taking this metro to come down to Gurgaon, where along with President Hollande, he will lay the foundation stone of the International Solar Alliance, an idea, the Secretariat of the International Solar Alliance, which shall come up in Gurgaon. The International Solar Alliance was an idea which Prime Minister Modi had mooted about a year ago, and more than 120 countries joined it when it was launched along with President Hollande at the Paris Conference of Parties, also known as the COP21. So now the Prime Minister, along with the French President, come to lay the foundation stone here, and taking the metro is a symbolism that how they can reduce pollution and contribute to climate change, apart from, of course, the convenience that it would, the cutting down on the inconvenience that it would cause to people because of the traffic restrictions that have to be laid because of the security threat to the French president as he's in India. Now, we expect the Prime Minister to come here at the National Institute of Solar Energy, which will work as the interim secretariat of this International Solar Alliance till its own building comes up, and of which the Prime Minister and the French President shall be laying foundation stone at about 4 p.m.
Well, how would you look at it? This particular international body headquartered in India, what would it mean? Would it mean a new beginning for accelerating development?
Prime Minister Modi has, it's one of the big ideas that Prime Minister Modi mooted about a year ago, and he got about 120 countries on board. Now, these are these countries which lie in the tropical zone. These are countries which lie between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn, which has most of the countries of Asia, most countries of Africa, of Latin America, Central America, some parts of the United States, though France is not a part of it, but because Prime Minister Hollande had led the climate change agenda and successfully conducted the COP21 negotiations, so he put his weight behind it as well. And other countries which are not directly a part of this alliance, like Germany, who are major players in the solar energy, are also lending their support to it. Now, the idea behind the Solar Alliance is that these are countries which fall in the tropical region. They receive a lot of sun, so this energy can be used to create a demand for solar energy around the world, and thus reduce our dependence on hydrocarbons and energy emanating from there, thus contributing to the climate change agenda. Clearly, the idea is, one, that all these countries get together so that the demand can be increased. If the demand is increased, the general demand-supply curve would mean that the cost of production of solar energy will come down. Secondly, it would lead to a standardization of the equipment, right? Which means basically, say, right now, if you want to install a solar panel, you give your own specifications. So the producer of the solar panels will customize it to your needs. Because the demand varies, some countries are not really that aware, and they do not look at it as some sort of an energy which can be utilized right now. But if an alliance comes together, which has they can lead to standardization, which means that the production can be streamlined, and thus the cost can come down. So this was the idea behind the Solar Alliance, and today, by laying the foundation stone of the Solar Alliance's Secretariat, which shall come up here at this Gurgaon campus, it would mean that India would lead the way in developing an alternative and a clean source of energy, which is the solar energy, and which Prime Minister Modi has been pushing at various fora, international fora, and finally saw the culmination of it as a formal alliance at COP21 in Paris. So clearly, when 120-odd countries and with more willing to join, put their weight behind it, it means there's a global movement, and which has won in accolades for leading the climate change agenda globally.
The International Solar Alliance, now that the foundation stone is being laid? Amrit, if you could hear me, what could be the focused roadmap ahead for the International Solar Alliance now that the foundation stone is going to be laid?
Well, The road ahead would mean that it would pool demand of high potential countries and use the resulting mass effect to bring down, one, as I said, financing costs. Second would be to harmonize solar markets and open them up so that the cost of investment for users can come down, and the investment as a collective, if say there is investment from these 120 countries, one can understand the scale of investment. Now that would clearly give a push to the clean energy. Solar energy is at its very nascent stages. Right now the world essentially depends upon hydrocarbons for its energy needs. But with growth engines, especially of the developing countries, guzzling and the demand for the growth engines, for running the growth engines growing. So the alternative sources of energy are always welcome. But right now, they say things like wind energy, solar energy are at very nascent stages of development and are not the mainstay sources of energy. So clearly, this is a push to that. Thirdly, it will also enable the necessary technology transfer between the developed and the developing countries, which India, as a developing country, and other developing countries have been long pushing for in the climate change talks, and which has been a sticking point, which we have seen in the past also between the developed countries and the developing countries. So now, if this emerges as the way forward, it clearly bridges the divide between the developed world and the developed countries. Thirdly, it means, from an speaking of Indian point of view, if this Solar Alliance, International Solar Alliance Secretariat comes here in India, there would be a lot of private companies which should be pushed towards, making, say, solar equipment of solar energy technology. And at this venue I am at, there are a lot of local entrepreneurs who have come here to listen to the vision of Prime Minister Modi and President Hollande as to how they want to take this forward and what kind of future they want to see. So the people that I have been interacting with, entrepreneurs, businessmen, will be doing this at a very small level, because the